Okay, welcome back. Now we're going to talk about the three artistic proofs of rhetoric. And I know that some of you are probably rolling your eyes at this and you're thinking, wow, why do we have to learn about this like stuff from the classics? I came here to learn how to sell Roundup. And you would be wrong. It's kind of funny sometimes like how people hit on human nature so long ago and it still holds up today. So we talk about our three proofs again: ethos, pathos, logos. So what are these? Okay, so ethos is the first thing. Like, if they're kind of like, if you picture the three like a triangle, ethos is kind of at the top, and it refers to credibility and authenticity, and it just stems from the idea that nobody's gonna be bring you around to like your way of thinking unless they like find you a credible source of information. And so, until you can establish that credibility or that, the ethos, like why is it that you're doing what you're doing, nobody's going to listen to the rest of the thing. Now, what I've seen some people do in their persuasive talks is they have a slide that says credibility, and then they talk about their resume. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. It's real awkward. Whenever you're thinking of a persuasive speech, I want you to think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. Okay, that's kind of the penultimate persuasive talk, right? And he did not say, "All right, I have a dream, but first, let me tell you about my resume." No, he did not do that. So anyway, where do people like latch on to like get a sense of your credibility, right? So it's derived from your good sense, moral character is on there twice, and goodwill, right? So we make judgments about how competent are you. Are you acting in our best interest? Do you come here with goodwill, or are you angry? If we don't have those things, or if we have these extra things, it can also include family background, attractiveness, athletic ability, and social position. And these all seem really dumb, right? Except whenever you think about, excuse me, whenever you think about ads on television that are trying to sell you stuff, right? Like, that's a persuasive thing, even if it's 30 seconds. And they never hire people that look like they could be on drugs to sell you shampoo. No, they always hire attractive, athletic looking people that are like shaking their head in slow motion and their hair is going everywhere. And they probably look like you, or they may be at or above your sort of social position in society. And we think, man, that is a person that I want to buy a shampoo from. And so, and on some weird subconscious level, you have assigned some credibility to this person that probably just lives in New York and was an extra and was like somebody's like sister-in-law and needed to have some work done. And so she, got in one of those shampoo commercials. Anyway, another thing that people can do, and this is, again, in society, is they can develop what's called a persona. And so it's just, again, an identity that somebody creates through public communication efforts, right? And so we all know that, like we are really complicated as humans. Like, we have a lot of things going on in our heads and competing, values and visions and priorities. And sometimes we don't always like live up to the things that we want to. And that makes this really complicated. It also makes this really hard for people to parse that don't know us. And so that's why when you think about, particularly celebrities and whatnot, they generally try to put forward a fairly flat, one-dimensional persona, right? Something that when you think of Tom Hanks, you think of like, I don't know what you think of when you think of Tom Hanks, but you know what you think of when you think of him, right? Because he's sort of crafted this persona, and it may not be overly complicated, but it's definitely something that they want you to like. And so it's sort of like they take all the complexity of human and crunch it down into something that people can latch on to, and so I don't know, there you have it. So not that you all need to do this, but this is just a thing that people do in terms of credibility. So the second one is what we call logos or logic, right? And this is with the rational appeal. Excuse me. Rational appeal or rationality in general, right? And so this is I'm going to overwhelm you with facts and statistics in my speech, okay? And these are good, right? Because it's good to have some facts, like not even like alternative facts, but like real facts, in which case you're like, 8 out of 10 people believe this, or 45% of people only purchase premium gasoline. I don't know what it is for you, but there's probably some good statistics to have in your talk. And this bolsters your credibility, right? And this makes a logical argument. But what we know about the way that people make decisions is that they don't only use rationality, right? And so this is the politician that has a plan, but not a dream, right? Like this is like Martin Luther King Jr. didn't come out and be like, I have a plan. Because nobody would fall in line with that, right? Like a rational, logical plan for lifting people out of poverty or, enacting civil rights or whatever. No, he had a dream. And that's what we're getting into in this next guy, right? Pathos or empathy. This is the emotional appeal of a talk. The best talks have, you have credibility. They have a rational appeal, and then they also have an emotional appeal. This pathos. This is the one that people tend to forget in 2220. I'll be real honest with you, and I think it's just because it's awkward for them and they don't want to do it. It can be in terms of using emotions. A lot of times, like when you think of politicians, giving, making an appeal and trying to get you to believe, they'll usually humanize their talks by, they could talk a lot of facts and figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but it'll hit home better if they tell about, the single mother that's working to, send her kid to college. Like that is like an emotional appeal, right? So you can do this in a number of ways, in terms of visuals and music, etc. In your talk, you can use visuals. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But just know that, again, in commercials, like things that are trying to sell you stuff, like they'll incorporate all these things that are meant to heighten the emotion. Anyway, and I said organizations use this all the time. Looking at you, Sarah McLachlan, because of those ASPCA commercials where Sarah McLachlan's singing really sad and the dogs are like all sad and whatnot. Anyway, all right, cool. So this is what it looks like when you put it all together. When your powers combine, again, you got logos there at the top, I guess, logic, pathos and empathy, and then credibility at the side. And they're all more or less equal. It probably starts, in my opinion, with ethos, but you got to have all three of them in order to put your talk together. So how do you do this? That's what we talk about when we come back.